Have you ever wondered why change, something so constant and inevitable, often feels so challenging to accept? Our world is in a constant state of flux. Seasons change, civilizations rise and fall, even the universe itself is always expanding. Change, it seems, is the only true constant in our lives. Yet for many of us, the thought of change can be daunting, even frightening. Why is this so? Perhaps it's because change disrupts our sense of comfort and familiarity. Or maybe it's the uncertainty that comes with it. Regardless of the reason, the universal truth remains. Change is inevitable. But what if I told you that there's a way to not only accept change, but to embrace it, to use it as a tool for personal growth and self-improvement? Enter Stoicism, an ancient philosophy dating back to the 3rd century BC. Stoicism teaches us that while we can't control everything that happens around us, we can control how we respond to it. And in this response lies our power and freedom. One of the most famous Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, was not just a philosopher but a Roman emperor. He saw the world in all its chaos and complexity, yet he found peace and wisdom in accepting the nature of life, in understanding the essence of change. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Our life is what our thoughts make it," meaning our perceptions of change, whether we view it as a threat or an opportunity, can shape our experience of life. By changing our thoughts, we can change our lives. In the face of change, Stoicism teaches us to maintain our composure, to stay grounded in our principles, and to find strength in adversity. It's not about being indifferent or suppressing our emotions, but rather it's about understanding the nature of change and learning to navigate through life with wisdom and resilience. So, how do we apply this philosophy in our daily lives? How can we learn from the Stoics to embrace change and transform it into a source of strength and wisdom? As Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, once said, "The universe is change, life is what our thoughts make it." How did the Stoics perceive change, and why did they believe it was not something to fear, but to embrace? This question takes us deep into the heart of Stoic philosophy, a school of thought that emerged in the 3rd century BC and whose teachings remain remarkably relevant to this day. The Stoics, led by notable figures such as Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius, held a unique perspective on the concept of change. They saw it not as an enemy, but as an inevitable and integral part of life. They believed that change, like the ebb and flow of the tides, was a natural occurrence, and fighting it was as futile as trying to hold back the ocean. Central to the Stoic view of change is the concept of amor fati, or love of fate. This is the idea of accepting and embracing all that life brings, including the hardest changes. The Stoics believed that every event, no matter how seemingly negative, holds a lesson, an opportunity for growth, and a chance to exercise virtue. The Stoics did not simply tolerate change, they loved it. They saw it as an opportunity to become wiser, stronger, and more resilient. Now, you might be wondering, how can one possibly learn to love change, especially when it often brings pain, loss, or hardship? The answer lies in the Stoic practice of reframing our perspective. Stoics encourage us to see change not as a loss, but as a transformation, not as an ending, but as a new beginning. They teach us to focus not on what we cannot control, but on how we react, how we adapt, and how we grow. In essence, the Stoic approach to change is about surrendering control over the uncontrollable and focusing our efforts on our own actions, responses, and attitudes. It's about finding peace in acceptance, strength in adversity, and wisdom in the flux of life. As we ponder these Stoic principles, let's leave you with a thought from Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic philosophers, who once wrote, "Accept whatever comes to you woven in the pattern of your destiny, for what could more aptly fit your needs." Opening, how can we apply Stoicism to build resilience and face change with grace and strength? Well, to begin with, Stoicism, a school of philosophy that originated in ancient Greece, teaches us to focus on what we can control and let go of what we can't. This is a fundamental principle for developing resilience. Life is full of unexpected twists and turns, and Stoicism encourages us to accept this change rather than resist it. But how does this acceptance lead to resilience, you might ask? Consider a tree in the wind. The tree that bends with the wind is the one that survives the storm. It adapts to the change, it doesn't resist it. Similarly, Stoicism teaches us to adapt, to bend with the wind of life's changes. This adaptability, this ability to face change head-on and adjust accordingly, is the heart of resilience. Let's take the example of Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and renowned Stoic philosopher. His reign was marked by constant warfare and disease, yet he remained steadfast. He once wrote, "Observe constantly that all things take place by change, and accustom thyself to consider that the nature of the universe loves nothing so much as to change, and that nature herself has formed thee to bear it." In essence, Marcus Aurelius saw change, even difficult change, as a natural part of life, something to be embraced rather than avoided. He understood that it was through facing these adversities that he could grow stronger, both as a leader and as a human being. This, in essence, is the Stoic approach to resilience. Finally, it's important to remember that resilience isn't about never experiencing hardship or pain. It's about learning to navigate those hardships, to endure and even grow from them. This is a fundamental teaching of Stoicism, and it's one that can serve us well in our own lives. Closing, in the words of another Stoic philosopher, Seneca, difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body. So let us take these lessons of Stoicism and resilience and face the winds of change with grace and strength. So, how do we take these ancient teachings and apply them to our modern lives? This is where we find ourselves standing at the crossroads of history and the present, contemplating change through the prism of Stoicism. Stoicism, as you may recall, is a philosophy of personal ethics informed by its system of logic and views on the natural world. It was a philosophy of equanimity, of accepting life as it comes and finding peace in whatever circumstances we find ourselves. But how exactly do we incorporate these principles into our daily lives? How do we navigate the turbulent seas of change with the compass of Stoicism? The first step is reflection. Reflection is like a mirror to our soul. It allows us to see ourselves with clarity, to understand our reactions, our emotions, our fears. It allows us to recognize the change, to see it for what it truly is, an inevitable part of life. And then there's self-awareness. Being self-aware means we acknowledge our emotions, our reactions, without judgment. It's understanding that we have the power to choose our response to change. It's about embracing change rather than resisting it. But it's not just about recognizing and accepting change, it's about seeking the potential for growth that change brings. It's about looking at the upheaval, the chaos, and seeing the possibilities for transformation. Imagine the strength we could gain from such a perspective. Imagine the resilience we could develop. Imagine the kind of intelligence that could be honed from such experiences. The benefits are manifold: peace of mind, resilience, strength, wisdom. These are just a few of the treasures we can unearth when we apply Stoic principles to our lives. Remember, as Epictetus said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. How do you react to change? Can you see the potential for growth in it? How might your life be different if you embraced change rather than resisted it?